The office was a hive of noise, keyboards clacking, phones buzzing, and the low hum of chatter. But today, a heavy silence hung over the 15th floor. Lucius, 42, with a decade and a half at the company, felt it as he weaved through cubicles, nodding to colleagues who barely met his eyes. His small office, cluttered with papers and a chipped coffee mug, offered a view of the city's gray skyline, all sharp angles and restless energy. He sat at his desk, opened his email, and froze. The CEO's message was blunt: financial difficulties, layoffs, tough choices ahead. His heart raced. Thoughts of Maria, his wife, and their 2 kids in college flooded in. The mortgage, the car payments, the life they'd built, it all felt at risk. For a moment, panic clawed at him. Why now? After all I've given? But then he paused, took a shaky breath, and recalled Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He couldn't control the company's fate, but he could control his response. Lucius called his team into the conference room. The air smelled of stale coffee and nervous tension. His team's faces were a mix of worry and hope, some whispering, others staring at the table. He stood tall, voice steady despite the knot in his gut. I know you've heard the rumors. Things are rough, and layoffs might be coming. I won't sugarcoat it. It's a mess. But let's focus on what we can do, our work. Let's keep delivering, keep doing our best. That's what we control. Some nodded, others exhaled, and they shuffled back to their desks with a flicker of purpose. Over the next few weeks, Lucius threw himself into his role. He mentored the younger folks, stayed late to meet deadlines, and kept the team's spirits up. He ignored the office gossip, the whispers about who was next. What disturbs men's minds is not events, but their judgments on events, Epictetus had said. Lucius saw this as a challenge, not a disaster. One evening, as he grabbed his coat, he bumped into Tom, a colleague from marketing, packing a box with trembling hands. Lucius, can you believe this? 15 years, and they just cut me loose, Tom said, his voice thick with anger. Lucius rested a hand on Tom's shoulder. I'm sorry, man. It's a raw deal. But holding on to that anger won't fix it. You've got to look ahead, find what's next. Like they say, when one door closes, another opens. Tom snorted, wiping his eyes. Clichés, Lucius? That's your advice. Lucius chuckled, a warm, quiet sound. Maybe, but there's truth in him. And I'm not safe either. Could be me next. So I'm getting ready, updating my resume, reaching out to old contacts. But I'm also trying to stay here, now, doing my best. Days later, the layoffs hit. Lucius's name was on the list. A pang of disappointment hit, but he steadied himself. He packed his things, hugged his team goodbye, and stepped out into the chilly city air. At home, he sank into his worn armchair, staring at family photos on the wall, Maria laughing, the kids at graduation. She brought him tea, her eyes soft. You okay? She asked. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Yeah, I'm okay. It's a blow, but I'll find something else. I've got skills, experience. And you and the kids, that's what matters. Maria squeezed his hand. We'll get through this. He nodded, thinking of Seneca. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. He had enough. The next morning, Lucius dusted off his resume, emailed old colleagues, and started applying for jobs. On a whim, he bought a cheap set of paints, something he'd always wanted to try. Each brushstroke was a small rebellion against worry, a way to stay present. A month later, he landed a job at a smaller firm, better pay, more flexibility. As he painted a sunset in his new home office, Lucius felt a quiet peace. The past months had tested him, but they'd also strengthened him. Stoicism had been his anchor, teaching him to accept what he couldn't change, to focus on his actions, and to find strength in simply being. Whatever came next, he'd face it with the same steady heart.